Have you ever looked at your smartphone and couldn't help but feel disappointed with its peasantry 30 FPS display? What about feeling that the sound being produced is coming from an asthmatic mouse blowing through a straw? Well, even if you haven't, the PC Master Race has come to the rescue. This is Yusuf from MakeUseOf.com, and let's find out if the Razer phone has got what it takes to dance with the big boys. Now, I've got to admire Razer here. They didn't want to arrive meekly in such a competitive market. Maybe trying out a few entry-level devices, seeing how it goes. Oh no, they are pursuing the flagships. Razer isn't new to the technology industry by any means, but they are to the smartphone market, which is a completely different animal. Fortunately, they got a bit of a nudge in the right direction by one of the most effective means possible. Yes, throwing money at the problem. Razer acquired Nextbit in January 2017. Nextbit has a team made up of former members of Google's Android team and a former head of design from HTC. Copy-pasting is quite evident when you look at the Nextbit Robin and the Razer phone side by side. Their designs are very, very similar. Razer's mad scientist then poured some of the gaming pedigree into the device and released the first Android phone geared specifically for a gaming experience. For you unboxing enthusiasts, Razer has not disappointed. Accompanied by the note from the Razer team, you get a beautifully engineered box, a striking SIM removal tool, a Type-C to Type-C charging cable, a power brick, and well, there's no easy way to say this, a Type-C to headphone adapter. Rest assured, I have deducted some marks for this. And finally, weighing in at 197 grams is the Razer phone. The design is somewhat polarizing. You either love it or detest it. I personally think it's awesome. Now bear with me on this. I know it lacks an edge-to-edge display and it's quite blocky. Ergonomically, this might be a problem for some, as it doesn't quite have the ergonomics of a curvier, more hand-friendly smartphone. But there's some method to this madness. The design is rather iconic. It stands out and it's something different. The blocky design also gives more space for the battery and the massive heat pipes that are used for thermal cooling. The bezels also make for a much more comfortable gaming experience. Without the bezels, there'd be no place to rest your thumbs. And without the bezels, there'd be no place to put the speakers featuring Dolby Atmos audio. Nope, you heard that correctly. Front-facing, very loud Dolby Atmos audio speakers. Check out the full review on our website to find out more about this. The speakers on this phone are nothing short of amazing. The only major downside to the audio being the lack of a headphone jack. It's okay. Apple didn't do it, so we don't have to kick up a fuss. Taking a closer look at the device, we have the volume buttons on the left, the dual megapixel cameras on the back, and an 8 megapixel shooter on the front if selfies are your thing. Also on the front are the aforementioned speakers and on-screen buttons. Accompanying the SIM tray on the right is a brilliantly placed fingerprint sensor. It feels really natural, not to mention being blisteringly fast. This is kind of the implementation people were asking for on the iPhone X. On the bottom is the USB-C charging port, which brings us to the first debut of a technology that this phone is bringing to the market. That is Qualcomm's Quick Charge 4.0 Plus. This means a cooler, faster, more power-efficient way of charging your phone. The spec sheet on the Razer phone is what you would expect from a flagship. It's got the Snapdragon 835, 8GB of RAM, 64GB of internal storage, which you can expand with a microSD card up to 2 TB, and finally a 1440p IPS display. Wait a second, IPS? I thought you said this was a flagship. Well, my friends, this is no ordinary IPS display. This display is capable of 120 Hz. Now this may sound like PC Master Race gamery stuff, but man, Android has never felt this good. And this is another first for the smartphone industry. If you've used the iPad Pros with Apple's ProMotion, you would understand how much of a difference it makes. Everything from general UI, scrolling, as well as of course gaming, feels as smooth as swimming in 600 gallons of double cream. The refresh rate is also variable. So when you're just idling on your home screen or sharing what you're having for lunch on social media, the refresh rate tones down to preserve the battery. Granted, this is not going to be as bright or as colorful as the OLEDs from the competition, but 120 Hz on an OLED is just something our species hasn't made feasible yet. As soon as a bunch of people in lab coats figures that out, IPS will have to do. The smoothness isn't going to be translatable on this video as you're watching it in 24 FPS, but this is something you have to try for yourself. High refresh rate displays aren't new. We've got them on computer monitors, but it's really special when it's at your fingertips. Complementing this smooth experience is a very near stock Android setup with just a few useful features here and there. For example, it has a Do Not Disturb gaming mode, which stops all notifications while gaming in full screen. Awesome. Now, one of my concerns was the battery at 120 Hz, even though Razer has crammed a 4000 mAh battery in there. Well, even on the highest refresh rate setting, the Razer got me through the day comfortably and then some change, capping out at about 5.5 to 6 hours of screen on time. Now, before you hand your Christmas money over to Razer, know that there are a few issues. First off, the vibration and haptic feedback could have been better. Traversing through the internet, some of these devices seem to be a little worse than others. Razer has since released a software update making it a little less bad. We've of course spoken about the headphone jack and or lack thereof, but my friends, we've saved the worst for last, and that goes to the cameras. Now, I realize that this phone is aimed at gamers, not photography aficionados, but it's still in flagship territory. Razer has promised to improve the camera quality in further software updates, but as it stands, the cameras are way below the competition. Pictures were quite soft, dynamic range was lackluster, and the native camera app should immediately be replaced by a third-party one if you are going to buy this phone. It's almost a tease because you can take somewhat okay pictures in the right conditions, but then you're disappointed by the sluggish shutter lag. Now, I'm not too bothered by it, as cameras on a smartphone are not a major requirement for me personally, and I assume the person looking for a gaming phone isn't going to care either. But the vast majority of the market is going to require significantly better cameras. Another debut that the Razer phone is bringing us is HDR-ready content via Netflix. Well, how they kept this quiet, I don't know. But this combined with the front-facing speakers is going to be an unmatched industry first for media consumption. Another announcement at CES was codenamed Project Linda. This shell basically transforms your Razer phone into a laptop. There hasn't been any price or release dates announced, but it looks really cool. It features an RGB keyboard, an extra battery, and even a little cutout at the front, which means you will be able to log in via the fingerprint sensor. Impressive. Now, this is all conceptual, and I have my reservations as to whether this is going to become an actual product or not, but this does provide an insight as to where Razer wants to take this product and potentially attract game developers for supporting more mobile games in the future. I'm up for that. Which brings us to the million-dollar question. Is this enough to make you switch? Regarding price, the Razer phone is less expensive than the top-tier flagships like the iPhone X or Note 8. It's priced closer to the Tier 2 flagships like the iPhone 8 or Samsung Galaxy S8. If photography is a huge part of your use case, I would steer clear of the Razer phone. However, if you're looking for the smoothest Android experience to date, excellent audio and silky smooth gaming, it would be hard-pressed not to consider the Razer phone. Don't forget to check out our article on our website for a more detailed review. Give us the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, or a thumbs down if you didn't. You can also leave a comment down below if your feelings were slightly more complicated than that, and be sure to enter the giveaway to get your hands on a Razer phone.